Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is July 3rd, and right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery. And I want to back this up to yesterday morning here, and I want to show you something interesting. Not only do we have this ridge of high pressure here that's going to be dominating our weather across the Pacific Northwest and the West Coast, ushering in an intense heat wave, and that's the big weather story, of course. But I want to show you this on the infrared satellite imagery. You see the grays emerging across the desert Southwest, up across Nevada, eastern Oregon there, eastern Washington, into the Willamette Valley. That is the sun heating the land there as we went through the afternoon hours yesterday. Then, of course, the sun sets. We go to the overnight hours there, and then we scroll back in towards this morning, and you can see that process again repeat. On the flip side of that, the cloud tops here across Pacific Ocean are much colder, and you can see as you see the blues and purples and greens out there, that is showing those cold cloud tops here. So always something fun and interesting to look at here on the infrared satellite imagery. But as I scroll back and forth here, now I'm scrolling forward in time as we went through yesterday into this morning, we have that clockwise rotation, and that is that ridge setting up that's going to bring us our heat wave. Taking a look at the heat advisory here, Seattle National Weather Service, all of Western Washington is included right now. We're going to dive into some of those charts and take a look at these temperatures here as we go through the video this morning. This is Spokane, and no exception to the heat wave here. Moses Lake, perhaps 5 or 6 days exceeding 100 degrees. Look at that, Tuesday the 9th, 106. Lewiston, 106 on the 10th. Wenatchee dealing with 5 or 6 days, 100 or plus as well. And Spokane flirting with 100-degree temperatures by the time we get towards Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday as well. Looking at the dangerous hot temperatures here, Medford National Weather Service, look at this. After the 4th of July, we really ramped things up here and kind of peaking here on Saturday and Sunday here with some extreme and major heat risk out there. So heads up, folks. Quick mention of the thunderstorm outlook here. We do have that potential mainly east of Spokane, Missoula, and Butte. And then for tomorrow, something similar, pushes a little bit further east there. Now looking at SeaTac yesterday, 71 degrees, 75 is the average high for this time of year. And we have the potential to exceed the average high temperature here, maybe by 20 degrees one of these days coming up here this weekend. So we're going to be watching that closely. We could break some all-time record daily highs as well. And again, we'll be watching that as we go day by day. I'm going to show you these temperatures here coming up in a moment. And if you want a nice, affordable home weather station, you don't even have to open the app, and it shows the widget for your temperature. It's very nice here. You just wake up in the morning, you're going to go walk your dog or go walk outside or whatever you want to do, or just getting ready for your day. You can see the temperature without even having to open the app. And you can see it builds a forecast for your individual location. It stores all the data for you in the cloud. You can click on these parameters here and you can see all your graphings. It's got a lightning detection system with it as well. It'll tell you when it starts raining because it's got a haptic rain gauge, ultrasonic anemometer, solar panels here, and the smartphone app again is quite nice. Highly recommend this station. Click on that link down below to save 10% off. Now, taking a look at the European ensemble mean here, of course, as you can imagine, the weather models at this point are in great agreement here with this ridge really developing here right along the west coast of North America. Look at that, extends all the way north of Haida Gwaii there, up towards southeast Alaska. It's really going to keep us quite warm here as we go on in towards the next week here. We may start to cool down for places west of the Cascades, though, as we go on into the mid portion of next week. We'll be diving into those details here both today and over the next few days as well. I want to show you 850 millibars, about 5,000 feet here. So you can see the ridge out there, very warm temperatures aloft. We're at 5,000 feet. And I put this into motion and look at these really develop here as we go through Saturday morning. We're now going on into Sunday morning here. Very warm temperatures aloft. Going to help things warm up quite nicely here across Pacific Northwest. Potential record temperatures will be falling. Taking a look at the GFS, this one is hot off the presses. The 12Z run, 500 millibar heights again at 18,000 feet. Put this into motion here and you can see that ridge developing. Really good agreement with the European model here also. Just set up shop right over California, Oregon, and extends well up into western British Columbia. And you can see this fairly deep low out here over the Gulf of Alaska, helping to amplify this ridge across the west coast of North America. So we hang on to this ridge here as we go through next week. And the GFS, it flattens it out a little bit here, but we really don't get a lot of relief, especially portions east of the mountains here. It's going to be a prolonged heat wave. Look at that big ridge of high pressure there right across the Intermountain West. So if we scroll out far enough, though, there's always some kind of hope, and you can see we might get a little bit of a break from the heat eventually as it tries to swing a system through British Columbia at some point in mid-July here. But you got to take that with a grain of salt. You're looking at over 10 days out right now. We'll just continue to monitor that and see how it goes. This is the European ensemble as of last night. You can see Sunday and Monday, perhaps 90-degree plus days for SeaTac. And we're going to look at some of the other weather models here in a moment and the trends. So stick with me. This is Seattle Tacoma International Airport on the European deterministic run here. Look at this Sunday, 94, 92 on Monday, and bookended by some very warm days here as we go all the way into the mid portion of next week here. So again, some big questions on just how fast we're going to cool off as we go through next week as well. But the 4th of July, you can see we really start to bring the temperatures up, some upper 70s, and we start to get really warm here as we go through July 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Looking at the GFS, though, it's got other plans for Seattle. I mean, it's been showing this 100-degree day here on Sunday. I don't know that we're going to get that warm. It might just be the GFS overdoing things, but it wants to string together, maybe 4 plus days of 90-degree heat here, and it doesn't really cool us down much to the extended forecast. But again, we'll be watching that big uncertainty on just how long we're going to stay that warm. This is the GFS. I believe this is actual ensemble members here. You can see 98 is the average. So pretty impressive heat rolling in here if you believe the GFS. We'll see which model wins out. National Blended Model says 93 for Sunday and 90 for Monday. So still very warm temperatures here. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days in 86 degrees plus here for 5 straight days for Seattle. Now this is something interesting here. This is the temperature cross section. So you can kind of see how we warm up during the afternoon hours. This would be July 3rd. This is today. This is tomorrow. 4th of July here, then you can really see how much more we warm up as we go through the 5th, the 6th, peaking on the 7th, but still very warm here by the time we go through the 8th, and you can see we remain warm as we go through next week as well. This is for Portland. Look at this. Just looks like a blowtorch here for some of these days, exceeding 100 degrees all the way out through Sunday, Monday maybe even as well. Now this is looking at something interesting. This is the 6-hour max temperature multi-run trend here. So you can see we started to pick up on 90-degree days here as we went through June 30th. The afternoon, the Europeans said, hey, we're looking at 90-degree day potentially here on Sunday, I believe this is. And then you can see it went through July 1st, 2nd, and now we're on to July 3rd. But this was yesterday afternoon's run. It's now showing kind of that increase here in the heat potential. It's now showing 95 for Sunday and 91 here for Monday on the European ensembles. Now this is looking at the GFS, also calling for the very warm temperatures and kind of ramping up the heat as we get closer to this event. Again, talking about 98 for Sunday on the GFS ensemble mean. This is Portland, so same chart here. I'm going to make that a little bit bigger for you. And you can see as we go on in through Saturday, look at some of these temperatures approaching 100 degrees, maybe a couple days. The GFS a little bit less hot actually than the European is for the I believe. I didn't show the European here, but some of the models have been showing 100 plus degree temperatures here for Portland. We'll look at that again here tomorrow, and I'll rearrange things a little bit better. But if we look at Bend, look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 days here, 100 and plus there for Bend. Oregon also on the multi-run trend here, according to the European ensembles. So this is Portland as well. This is the European ensemble, and you can see 100 degrees there on Saturday and Sunday. Still very warm here as we go through Monday and Tuesday also. And you can see the warm overnight lows here, so not much relief overnight. Average temperature for Portland, for example, around this time of year is about 80 degrees, so you may be exceeding that by 20 degrees or so. Looking at Fresno, California, the reason why I'm showing you this here is because we're going to go over the wet bulb globe temperature here in a moment. But look at some of these temperatures expected in some of Central California here, 115 degrees. Average temperature is around 100 degrees, but it's still excessively hot there for California. But if you look at the wet bulb globe temperature here, you can see Portland dealing with some high values here, and that it's based on the region, the acclimation region here across Pacific Northwest. So to the people who are not acclimated to this heat, it's going to be pretty darn right extreme for Portland and some of the Willamette Valley coming up here. And if you look at Fresno, you take that acclimation into account, you just do touch into some of the lower end of that high, but you're not getting towards extreme here, even though you have much warmer temperatures. So you got to keep that in mind. You know, relativity, it means everything, even with weather. Now, taking a look at the 90th percentile classification for the wet bulb globe temperature, you can see where those regions exist. So if you get into eastern Washington, eastern Oregon, you got class 2, but class 1 is for Seattle and Portland, and that's why that wet bulb globe temperature there is showing some high risk. Now, showing the wet bulb globe temperature, you can also look at this in the National Blended Models if you want to check out the weather bell here. But as you can see, as we scroll on in through, this is July 4th tomorrow, and then we start to scroll on in through Friday. You can see the temperature start to ramp up there. We go through Saturday, even warmer there from the Willamette Valley. Check out some of these temperatures going in the wet bulb globe temperature, the index there. You're starting to get into those high values and probably peaking there on Sunday here. So interesting tools that you can see on Weather Bell. Now looking at Brookings, Oregon, something interesting here. The GFS isn't really showing these super warm temperatures here for tomorrow, the 4th of July here. So probably some disagreement. Well, it is disagreement on just what kind of offshore flow and how much it is going to warm up the area there. But then you see the temperatures dropping back down as we go through July 5th, but still staying elevated, and still some disagreement between the ensemble members on just how long Brookings, Oregon is going to stay very hot here. It's right on the immediate coast of Oregon, but it's got terrain just to the west here. So if you bring those offshore winds, you can really ramp up those temperatures, as you see here on the European ensembles. Now, looking at the GFS for Brookings, Oregon, though, you can see it keeps things in the mid-70s here. So it doesn't really show that big offshore warming event here. Let's see which model is going to be right for that, because that's coming up tomorrow. Look at Bend, Oregon here in the European ensemble. The average temperature right around 85, 86 this time of year. So you can see the impressive heat as we go on into the mid portion of July. This is Bellingham, Washington. You want to cool off a little bit here. You can do it by getting a little bit further north here. But the thing is, some of the dew point values I've been seeing up north are a little bit high as well. So you might not get that evaporative cooling the same way across maybe Seattle and Portland out there. So it's going to, you're not talking about 90-degree temperatures across Bellingham, but it's still going to feel kind of muggy at times as well. Keep that in the back of your mind. 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. You can clearly see the above average signal here across much of the west coast. There's that below average signal as we go through July 12th. And check out the fire danger. Starting to ramp things up here across NW4 and NW7. Across some of southern, central, southwest Oregon there for high risk for that critical burn environment. But look at some other regions like 2, 3, and 4, also western Oregon, Willamette Valley, Portland, and even NW1 by the time we go to next week could be dealing with some elevated fire risk here also in a lot of other areas. When you start getting into these browns here, you're talking about the elevated risk, and fires can spread rapidly, especially when you're dealing with the reds though. But yeah, interesting stuff coming up here. Getting a little bit excited about this heat event here coming up. We'll see just how warm we're going to get. We're going to get into a little bit more detail on that as we go through the forecast tomorrow morning. We'll break everything down again because things are bound to change, but we have been trending slowly upwards over the last few days on just how warm things are going to get here across the Pacific Northwest. So hopefully everybody's prepared. Hopefully you got your AC units and you've got everything in order coming up here so you can, at least make it comfortable for yourself as this heat wave rolls through. But anyway, hope you guys are enjoying these videos. Click like, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. It's free to do so, and it really helps the channel out, get the word out to more people here across the West Coast, so we can educate everybody on the weather out there and what is to come. But otherwise, I hope you guys are having a good day. I hope you guys are going to have a good 4th of July tomorrow. I plan on doing my normal weather briefing tomorrow as well, so last minute check on everything there for the 4th of July. And we'll take a look at the extended forecast as always as well. So yeah, hope you guys are having a good day, and I'll talk to you guys later.